Like I said, thank you all for taking the time to listening to today's introductional training into BOS. The idea for today is to give you a nice little overview, a good like kickstart with your, let's say, journey with BOS. I'll be covering more or less all the basics that you would require in order to get started. I will show where all the applications are. I'll show you the core configurator application. I'll give you a nice little overview where everything is located. Since most of the people that are joining me to these trainings are more or less working with KNX. We're going to be importing a KNX project. We're going to be adding some logical text for our, let's say, home automation. And then at the end, I'll also show you how fast and easy it is to create a simple or more complex visualization as well. So without getting too long, all the applications that you would be using and that I will be also showing today, all the applications are available on our website. All the applications that I'm going to be showing you can be downloaded there. They're all completely for free. So to get started, the easiest way I would say is to just simply go on our website and click this free trial option. A quick little how to start video will start playing, showing you where the applications are, how to install them, and so on. So just a simple video. And below this, we have all the applications that are in our, let's say, in our ecosystem. The first application that we have is going to be the BOS server. So I can actually open it up as well. So service monitor. I have it, of course, running on my machine. And this is the BOS server application can be installed on any Windows machine. And all this BOS server application does is, as you can see, it reserves two of your local host ports for HTTP and HTTPS connection. And it kind of reserves your PC or your laptop as a BOS server, which then means that you can use your phones, your tablets, and any other devices to connect your machine where you have your configuration running. So all this does, it runs in the background. You can close it, and it reserves your PC as a server. Basically, all it does. The main and core application for BOS, and also the application that I'm going to be mostly focusing on today, is going to be our BOS configurator. So this is going to be the main tool for us to add your devices, KNX, Z-Wave, bucket, cameras, whatever. All the devices can be added in. This is also the application where we add our logical tasks. And this is also application that we're going to be using today to create our visualization. So this is going to be, one and all application for more or less all the work that is required to do to get the, building running. The last but not least are our client applications. So the BOS server and the BOS configurator applications are available for Windows, but the client applications are more or less available for all platforms. So they are available for Windows, Android, and iOS. And these applications are more or less reserved for the end users. So if you're, let's say, the system integrator that did the building, you then have access to the configurator where you can do maintenance and logical visualization. And usually let's say the owner of the house or the owner of the building or people that are using the building usually have only client access where they can use their phone, use their tablet to browse through the rooms, browse through the data logs, and control the devices that are actually in their room. Of course, I have all the applications pre-installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the BOS configurator application so we can get started. So when you open up the BOS configurator application, as you can see, first window that pops open is the list of all the servers that I can connect to. So the idea here is that BOS will allow you to connect to multiple different servers. You can even connect to multiple different servers at once if needed. The way you would add a new server to the list is fairly easy. You just go here to the top right and select add. And there are three ways of adding a new server to the list. The first way is by using the access ID. So the access ID is a unique name for each individual server, And when you will be, when you will download the applications and when you will register your, your PC on our website, you will be asked to create this access ID. And all this access ID does, it checks where you're connecting from, and then connect to the correct IP. So if you're connecting locally, let's say if you're the same network, it will then connect to the local IP. But if you're connecting from outside of your local network, it will then connect to the external IP. One thing to note here also, if you are planning on using remote connection, there is a specific port that needs to be forwarded in order to make the outside connection possible. The second way of connecting to the server is by using the manual configuration. So manual configuration is more or less just direct IP. So you would either type in the local IP address or the public IP address of the server, and of course use the correct login credentials to basically direct connect to the server. If you're connecting locally and maybe you don't know the IP address, you can also use this find button. This will scan your current local network. It will find all the BOS servers that you can connect to, and you can just select one from the list and connect to it with, of course, with the correct login credentials. The third option is by using our gateway access. So what gateway access means is you would still use, let's say, the same access ID, but instead of setting up the public IP, setting up the port forwarding and whatever, all the traffic is redirected through our servers. There is a, for now, one-time fee for this gateway to compensate for the additional traffic that goes to our servers, but this is a good addition for a lot of our clients that maybe don't want to set the public IP, set port forwarding, and it provides kind of a additional layer of security for these clients. For today's presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my local PC, of course, here, and I'm just going to select my local PC here and open up the BOS configuration. Before we get with the configuration, very similar, if not the same process is used for our client application. One second. Hey, îl custa mau, este teletraining, îl custa mau, Karin. Sorry. More or less the same principle applies for the client application. The same thing, you would connect to the same process, go top right, add a server in, more or less the same procedure. But instead of opening the configuration, you would open the visualization. So this is the client. I will show you later on. I can actually show you now. So the way the client would usually navigate through the rooms is, first off, we have the theme room, the main room, where we have some shortcuts and some weather information, and then we have sub panels at the bottom where we can navigate through all the rooms in the building and control the devices. So we can select rooms, we can go to kitchen, I control the devices very easily and very quickly. Check the camera view, consumptions if we have them, weather information, so on. But we'll get back to the client application a little bit later. If we go back to the configurator application, this is the main screen that you see when you connect to any specific configuration. As you can see, the configuration is built in a configuration tree, which means that you have your main nodes here on the left side, and then you have sub nodes containing additional info, additional settings for the configuration. Our main building node contains all the basic information about the server. So if I select building and if I go to license, expanding the license info provides all the basic information about my server. So my ID, my license information, the access ID that I mentioned earlier. So this is the important thing to know. Here is my access ID, which now I can use to, connect to my configuration, and I can see the server version, IP addresses, and so on. The next subnode that we have, or the next function that we have, is our updates. We do try to update the software quite frequently, try to provide fast bug fixes, improvements, solutions, add new devices in, add new improvements, and so on. And one thing to note here is that all current and future updates are available completely for free. So if down the line, we add a new device in, like we did with the current update, when we added a couple new features, there's no additional fee for these new features. If we add a new device in, there's no additional, fee that goes with the new update and so on. So all, future updates are available completely for free. All the network settings can be changed here as well. So if you can change your local IP address, BOS will also allow you to use Wi-Fi if you have it to connect to your local Wi-Fi as well. And you can also shut down and reboot your machine using the BOS configurator as well. The next major subnode that we have is going to be our general. So general contains additional, information and additional settings for my current configuration. I will go through all of these and explain in some better details, at least for the important, I guess, nodes we're going to look through. The first node that we're going to take a look at is going to be our users. So to explain you how users work, the easiest way is to give you just a practical example. Let's say we have an apartment building where we have some parents, and then we also have children living, let's say, in the same house. And let's say the parents don't want the children to have access to the cameras, to maybe the alarm system or heating. You would then create two separate users. One will be parents, and the parents can have full access to the building. They can see the cameras, they can see the heating, they can see the alarms. And then the children can have only limited access. They can have only access to maybe to the lights and the shades and maybe some music and whatever. And they can also receive different notifications. The parents can have a better overview of the building. And this is also a crucial feature if you have a large commercial building. If you have a hotel or some industrial building where you don't want that every user that connects to the client has full access to the building. You want to have limited access to specific users, especially if you have a hotel project. If you have, I don't know, 5, 10, 50 rooms, you don't want the user or the guest in room number 1 to have access to the devices in room number 2, right? You only want the guest to only control their own room. So that's why you would then, let's say, create users for each individual room with their own login credentials and their own visualization. So each time the client connects to the hotel, they can only control the devices in their own room, basically. So this is a crucial feature that comes especially with hotels. Since we're talking with hotels, BOS also comes with a built-in translation tools. This is especially useful for hotel buildings, where we have, guests from more or less all around the world that don't speak the same language. And if the client, let's say, connects to the building and they see, everything is in English, maybe I don't speak English, they can very easily go to the top right, settings, and change the language. Let's say we change the language from English to German, and as you can see, all the words, all the icons, all the user interface, everything is now translated into, let's say, German. Also, special characters are supported. So if someone has, let's say, Greek, for instance, you can also use, special characters here to, have your visualization in a completely different language. So to switch back, I'm going to go to English. And the way the translations are done, you would go to the translations. As you can see, I have a ton of translations already done. You want to add a new language in. Let's say we're going to add this Hungarian language here. Click OK. And then a new line will appear at the end for my translations. We are improving this as we speak, more or less. We are planning on releasing a more updated version of the translator, and where it's going to be a little bit easier for everyone to do. But currently, it's still fairly easy to do. You need to just check. Let's say if we have this in English, you need to check what this word means and then translate it to Hungarian, for instance. It may look like a lot of work at the beginning, and the first time you do this, it may took some work to translate. But good thing about the translations is you can actually reuse these translations. Once you are done, translating all the visualization, you can save these as an XML file. You can save them, and then you can actually reuse them in future projects as well. Because we are more or less all aware that words are constantly being reused. Kitchen, living room, light, shade, heating. The words are always being reused. So in most cases, the system integrators do the translations once. They do it for the whole building, and then in the future projects, they just tweak specific words that may be a little bit different. So this is a very, very nice feature for massive projects and a ton of people that maybe don't speak the same language. If we go back to the client, everything that I'm showing you here in the client, icon, image, text, colors, everything that you see here on the screen, everything is fully customizable. So you can change more or less everything in the visualization. And if I go to the configurator, and if I go to files and let's say images, we can see that BOS comes with I don't know, 200-300 images that come with the software, for rooms, for devices, for scenes. Everything has a specific icon that can be used. But BOS will also allow you to use your own custom icons. So you can use, custom icons, custom images, logos, backgrounds, pictures. A lot of the times, clients are using, let's say go to living room. The clients are using, actual photos of the living room, and they can, they can customize how the visualization is going to react and how the visualization is going to work for their specific project. So you can either use, like I mentioned, one of the hundreds of images that come with BOS, but you can add your own custom image. To do this, again, fairly easy. You just go to images, you can right click, select add, and you can then browse your PC and locate the image. And I hope I have something on my desktop already. And this is just a do not disturb or an airplane icon that I can use, and I can open it up. And now I can actually use this icon in the visualization. And when we're going to be creating the visualization at the end, I will also show you how fast and easy it is to create a visualization like this. If you browse to the rooms, how we have overviews and a ton of icons and images, but to create this, the visualization, the whole process is extremely easy to do. So this will be the files. BOS comes with a built-in weather API as well. So if I go to my client and if I go to weather, BOS comes with this weather API. So you can get the current weather information, and we also get a short weather forecast available as well. The way it works, you just go here to web and then weather. You would check your location. Let's say currently I'm here in Ljubljana, but I can change the location. Let's go someplace a little bit warmer. Let's say Greece. It will locate. You can type in country, town, city, whatever. It will go to the API and check the location and click OK. It takes a couple of seconds to refresh the information, but you can see now if I open up the weather, you have a much better weather forecast, current weather information available to be displayed in the client. And also, one good thing about the weather API is that you can actually use all of this information in our tasks. If I go to the weather and if I select values, these are all the values that are available from the API. So from temperature, pressure, humidity, visibility, wind speed, all of this information can be used in the tasks. We could use, let's say, temperature to maybe control heating, or wind speed to maybe control some shades or whatever. Of course, they are not going to be as accurate as, let's say, a weather station, but they do work good enough for a lot of cases that clients are using the weather API to control specific devices. The next subnode that we have is going to be our API. So API is more or less reserved for third-party integrations and voice control. So for voice control, we have Alexa, we have Google Smart Home, and we also have HomeKit, or in this case, we can combine HomeKit with Siri. So all of these voice APIs or services are available to be used within BOS. The whole process is extremely easy. I'm not gonna go too much into details. We do have a step-by-step instructional video available for this. We have also on the website. I will show you at the end as well where you can find it. But more or less, what you do is you need to add, your devices in, and then you link it to your specific device. So power, let's say this is for on and off. I can then link this power to my, I don't know, my KNX, for instance. So KNX light, kitchen ceiling, click OK, and then add it, let's say kitchen. I would then sync this Alexa with my Alexa skill, and then I can say, Alexa, turn kitchen light on, and it goes to the API, and Alexa then controls the devices. A similar procedure goes for Google Smart Home and HomeKit. There's a dedicated video explaining you how to do the whole integration with the voice control. If you have, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat. Type in the question. I'll look through them, and I can provide some additional information if you need it. So the next major subnode that we have is going to be our devices. So if I select devices, right click and select add, we can see the list of all the devices that are currently supported by BOS. So we don't support just the main KNX node or KNX device. We support multiple different devices can be added. We have, of course, we have. Oh, someone else joined a little bit late, but yeah, Johnny was added in. Hello. We are more or less almost halfway through. So if you want to hear, I guess, the first part, maybe you can join next week's the introductional training, but we are now just going into integration of our devices. So like I said, we don't support just the main KNX device. We support multiple different devices can be added in. So we have our KNX, we have our Z-Wave, Modbus, BACnet, IP cameras, a couple of different alarm systems, DSC, Paradox, SATEL. IP cameras can be added in, third-party applications can be added in, speakers, Sonon and Denon, and many of the other devices can be added in. And in most cases, you would need to have a separate application for all of these devices. Separate application for BACnet, Z-Wave, Modbus, and so on. But here with BOS, you would use the BOS configurator. You would add your Modbus, Z-Wave devices in, and then you can have seamless communication between all of these devices. You can have, I don't know, Z-Wave motion sensor to control KNX devices, or maybe something on BACnet to control Modbus, or some alarm system that are connected via KNX. You can create a couple of different tasks. You can create a couple of different logical integrations within BOS, and then have this seamless communication between all these devices, very, very easily accessible. So for what I am going to add for today's training, I am just going to add KNX here to the list. And you can see now the KNX has been added to the list of my currently added devices. We support all the connection types for KNX. So for different connection types, you can just select here. We have IP connection, USB, serial. Also KNX Secure is supported. So if you're planning on using KNX Secure, you can also use this. And we have been in the home integration business working with KNX and other devices, and we know how easy it is for a KNX ETS project to get big and complicated with hundreds of group addresses and so on. That's why we created this ETS import wizard. So once your KNX project is done is ETS, your devices are programmed, your group addresses are set, everything is working, everything is done. You can then export your ETS project, and you can then import it into BOS. So you just go here to ETS import, run this function. You would then need to find my, just one second, to find my project I have here. I think it's on my backup. Yeah, I have this demo project ready. And I can open my ETS project up, and I can see the list of all the group addresses that are in that ETS project. And as you can see, they're all labeled here. we have our name of our group address, we have our address, and then we also have our status address. As you can see, some of them are colored red, which means that they were undefined in ETS. If a group address is undefined in ETS, it will also be undefined in BOS. So what you need to do is you need to define the group address. The whole process is extremely easy to do. You just select which group address you want to define. Let's say you have this, let's say, system parameter and time. Right click and select time. Very, very easy. Here we have some dimmable lights. It can, as you can see, if I have multiple different group addresses with the same type, I can actually select and drag my mouse button to multiple select. So I can select this dimmable lights, right click and select unsigned. Weather station, these are usually float values. So I'm gonna go to weather, wind, float. I'm not gonna go through all of these because we're not gonna be needing them. Let's say shades and select right click time. And you would go through all of these. This requires just, I don't know, a basic knowledge of ETS. So if you have the basic knowledge of ETS, this should be fairly simple to do. And if you also want to receive feedback from KNX, so let's say if someone physically switches off a lamp, you also want to know this in BOS, right? If I open up the client application and if I go to the floor plan view, if someone is in the living room and physically switches off the lamp, I also want to have this feedback available in the client so I know that someone switches it. That's why we need to link our status addresses. To do this, again, very, very simple. As you can see here, we have lights on and off. These are for controlling my current lights. And these are the status addresses. So these are reserved for the current status of the device. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select my status address, right click, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to select my group address, right click, and paste it to status address. So what BOS is going to do, BOS is now going to paste the status here, as you can see it under group address. And now if I turn it on via BOS, we will know. And also if someone physically switches off a lamp, using a switch, BOS will also know that someone turned off the lamp just because we have now these group addresses linked. And once you do this for the whole project, you can click next, and you can see that BOS has now imported 70 new addresses or devices. And in the next step, we're going to tell BOS what these devices actually are. Because in the first step, we just imported the group addresses. That's all we did. And the next step, we're going to tell BOS, okay, this is a lamp, this is a shade, and so on. So we can go to, let's say we have dimmable lights here. I can select here, as you can see, BOS, this is just an integer value without a template, without an icon or anything. So I can select these devices, right click, and set template to dimmer, for instance, and do this. And you can see BOS has changed the icon, it has changed the unit, and the template has also changed. So, and a lot of different things also happen at the back end that you don't see. Colors for the lights, how these devices are going to react in the client application, and much, much more. So I'm going to go again and also link add in the lights, so template, and we have lamp. And you can see that image has changed. And if I want, I can also select a couple of these and just change the image, for instance. So change the image. Let's say ceiling hanging lights. Click OK. And let's also add our shades. So template, shades, and maybe change two of these icons as well. Let's say we have lines and maybe skylight, for instance. And you would again go through all of the group addresses, and once you are done, you can close the import wizard. And if your ETS project is done transparently, everything is very nicely labeled, visible, and put into correct folders and subfolders, it's going to be that much easier to organize yourself in BOS as well, because BOS will put your group addresses into the same folders and subfolders as you have them in ETS. So if I open up KNX, and if I want to check or tweak some group addresses for the lights, I can very easily find them, lights on and off, living room ceiling, and maybe tweak or change the address or do whatever. If you want to manually add a new device in, you can always just go to this specific, where the device is located, or let's say the type of the device. Let's say I want to add a new lamp somewhere, or a new lamp was added and I want to sync it. You can always go to the folder, right click, add, select the correct type of the group address. Let's say on and off. So you can go 1 bit, and then we can go garage, let's say light. Just to give an example. So garage light. We now added the correct group address. I don't know, let's say 49. We of course add the correct status address as well to get feedback. We add a template, let's say lamp, and now we are ready. And if I was connected to a KNX bus, if I change the value from false to true, the light would now turn on and turn off, turn on and off, and so on. So the whole process is I would say very easy to implement. Especially if you do this once or twice, it's very easy to add your ETS projects in. When it comes to other devices, the integration is fairly identical, very similar, I would say. Let's say if you have some Modbus devices, you can just when you're adding Modbus devices in, I would say reading the instructional manual is crucial in order to get the addresses in. So you would read the manual where it says how to set your connection settings. So set the correct serial port if you're connecting serially, set the baud rates, bits, data bits, handshakes, and so on. And once the connection settings are done, you then read the manual, check what is the slave address, and then on the slave address you would add the addresses for the Modbus in. Very easy. I would say just read the manual when it says for on and off the address is 5. You put 5 in, you select the correct type, and you're more or less ready to be to control the Modbus devices. Similar is for, let's say, Z-Wave as well. So Z-Wave instructional manual is again crucial. You read how to import or include a Z-Wave device in. You would repeat the inclusion pattern, add a device in. Device is then listed here. You can rename it, set the parameters and association groups, and you're ready to be ready to control this device. So this would be our devices node. The next major subnode that we have is going to be our tasks. So tasks is where we add our logical integrations. This is where we can now communicate between devices, and this is where we can start making our home a little bit smarter or do additional things. Does KNX node acts as an IP interface only? Yeah. So that's how the communication works. Yeah. If you have, let's say, one of our Jigsaw servers, you would just need to change here to Jigsaw. But Jigsaw now will also allow you to program your ETS project. So you would enable KNX Programming. You would start the server. And then you can also use BOS to program your ETS projects. So this is also a new feature that has been added quite recently. So this is an additional option to be used if you want to use this, of course. This is currently available for I think for now it's in kind of a testing phase where we are polishing up, so it's available for free. So you can try it if you want. But later on, there's going to be I think it's going to be a little fee to it to compensate additional costs that come with the integration of this feature in. So you can add more nodes. Yeah, you can. If you have, we have Daryl, to answer your question, we do have a couple of different projects where we have a large server, but then they have a few different KNX IP interfaces. You can add additional one if you want. So you can add another one, and you can have KNX, floor 1, and this one could be KNX, let's say, floor 2, for instance. Floor 2. Of course, you would have different IPs and whatever, but you can use one server, and then you can communicate between different ones as well. This is possible, yeah. To continue with our tasks, like I said, if you want to add this communication possible and communicate between devices, you will need to add specific tasks. And the list of all the tasks is available here. We have multiple different tasks can be added in, from simple tasks such as some data logging, to maybe some scenes, some schedules, some timers, whatever, to some more complex tasks such as some bit conversion. Some built-in calculations can be done. Timers and program tasks can be added in, for the communication. But to keep it simple for today, what I am going to do is I'm going to add, let's say, a couple of scenes in. Let's say lights on, lights on. Let's add another one. Let's say lights off. And maybe I can also add, let's say, a movement detector. Movement detector, as I say, is a good example of the communication between different devices. So we have our all the new tasks were listed here under tasks. So lights on. Of course, this is a scene. What is a scene? Scene is basically with a single click of a button, we are controlling multiple devices. That's basically what scene does. And the way the scene is created is very, very simple. And this applies to a lot of different tasks as well. So let's say we have this lights on scene. I can go to lights on and off, and we select which device we want to control. Let's say living room ceiling, select it, click it, and drag it into the scene, and click OK. And you can go. You can do this very, very quickly. Living room wall, kitchen countertop, drag and drop these devices in. Of course, I'm not limited to just KNX here. I can go to my AC unit, for instance, go to AC, turn the AC on. Maybe we can go to my Z-Wave and turn the socket on as well. So drag and drop which devices we want to control. Of course, this is a lights on scene, which means we are turning on these devices. So we need to check what we are doing with these specific devices. And you can see more or less we are turning these devices off. So what I'm going to do is select all the devices, right click, and set the value from false to true. Click OK. And now when the scene is going to be triggered, all these devices are going to turn on. To create an opposite scene, it's even easier. I can select all of these devices, select copy. I can go to my lights off scene. I can paste it in. But now, of course, we are turning on these devices. What I need to do is select all the devices and set values to false. Very, very easy to do. In a minute or so, you should be able to have this scene ready to be used. Each scene can be triggered in multiple different ways. You can either go to the client, let's say, and turn the scene off manually using the the button on the screen, or you can also add some automation to it. So here on the trigger, we can tell BOS when to trigger this scene. And this could be basically anything in the BOS configurator. This could be a device. This could be, I don't know, a movement detector. This could be time, for instance, as well. So we can go to time. We can go to, let's say, time of day, and set the time of day. I don't know, to, let's say, 8 o'clock at night, for instance. And now every day at 8 o'clock, this scene is going to be triggered. One quick tip: if you have a massive scene with, I don't know, 50, 100 devices, it is advised to add a small delay. So what small delay is going to do is it's going to add a small delay between all these devices. So you're not going to be overloading the bus. BOS is then going to slowly, turn each individual lamp on. So this is very, very useful for, I don't know, a massive project with hundreds of devices. Movement detector, like I said, is a good example of seamless communication between devices. What movement detector task does under input value is where we are going to add our movement sensor, and then the output value is going to be what's going to happen when the movement sensor is triggered. So we could go to input value. We could go to our Z-Wave because we have some Z-Wave motion sensors. So if you bottom motion, add this motion sensor in, and then under output value, we could go to, let's say, our KNX, lights on and off, and then maybe turn outside lamp, for instance. And as you can see, we have this seamless communication between Z-Wave and KNX. We have our Z-Wave motion sensor that triggers and controls a KNX lamp. We could do very similar, and let's say we can also use, let's say, thermostat, where we have our input values. This will be our temperature reader. This could be, on an AC unit, or maybe this could be Modbus or BACnet, and we can control the output value of a heater. That could be, Modbus, BACnet, KNX, or any other device. So thermostat is also one of the good examples on how the communication between devices can be done. Okay, so we have our KNX added, we have a couple of our tasks added. Now what we can do now is we can now create a visualization. So visualization is of course visible here under themes. So if I select, the demo, you can see exactly the same screen if I open up the demo panel in my visualization. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a blank panel for us. So let's say living room, just so we can start fresh, like you would, for instance. So living room has been added in. The way the visualization is created is, again, you can guess, it's very, very simple. You just create a room. You need to select which device you want to control. Let's say living room ceiling, select it and drag it into the visualization and click OK. Living room wall, select it and drag it in, and you're more or less ready to control. One thing to note here is also that everything that you do in the configurator, everything is refreshed live in the client. So as you can see, living room has been created, and these two lamps have been added in automatically, and you can now start controlling it. So we select it, click it on and off, and control these devices. So you don't need to upload, download, restart, do whatever. Everything that you do in the configurator, everything is live in the client. Of course, in most cases, we don't create buttons like this, two huge buttons in the middle of the screen. That's why we can, remove these. And if I select the background, right click, I can add a frame. So frame is gonna kind of structurize our visualization, gonna add our buttons in a nice little controlled environment. So living room ceiling, drag it into the frame and click OK. Now you can see everything is nicely scaled, and everything is of course then changeable here on the frame settings basically. So if I drag, let's say we can create our living room wall, maybe add some kitchen lamp as well, and I can change number of rows, and it's gonna automatically scale. We can change, put this back and change number of columns, for instance, and now we have it in 2 columns. So you can play around more or less endlessly with the how the frame is going to look. Going to add another frame. We can add, let's say, our shades, living room, kitchen. We can add a title, for instance, let's say lights. This could be our shades. And we can also add our scenes that we created earlier. So lights on and lights off. And now you can see in a matter of, I don't know, it wasn't even a minute, we had like 20-30 seconds, we have a living room visualization ready to be used by the clients. So if I open up the client application, of course everything has been synced with the configurator, and now the client can very easily go turn the light on, turn the shade down, living room shade down, and of course if needed, to control the scenes by clicking a single button. We also allow specific freedom to the client, especially when it comes to the scenes, because in most cases you would create a scene for the client for the living room, and then 2 months later the client says, oh yeah, this lights on scene, it's controlling too many devices. They can actually tweak how the scene is going to react themselves. So to do this, you would just simply go here and click this wheel button, for instance, and you can then select what's going to happen with these devices. So you can deselect these two, and then the next time the scene is going to be run, these two lamps are not going to turn on, for instance. So they can, play around if they want with the scenes and, of course, how the devices are going to react. I earlier mentioned that the customizations are more or less endless. So this is the perfect time to show you how the customization is done. So you can, of course, select, any button on the visualization. Let's say this kitchen button, and you can customize it here on the right side. So I can change the style from automatic to manual, and you'll see a lot more option is now available to customize. And if I change the display option, even more options are going to be available. So we can, rename it if we want, kitchen lamp, for instance. We can change the icon. So now we can actually use the icon that we added in the beginning, if you remember. So click OK, we change the icon. We can change the back color, how it looks. We can, use green, change the text color if needed to, I don't know, let's say white. We can make it look more 3D. We can add roundness to it. If someone has maybe some, vision impairment, you can also increase the font size, so 150, for instance. And you can, like I said, you can play more or less endless how each individual button is going to react. You can change the names, change the colors of the, inline to black, for instance. We can even change how the button kind of works. So if I go to the client, you can see, turn it on. It's a completely, different looking button. And I can also change how it works. By default, all on and off buttons are set to toggle, but you can also change diff if you want to. You can go to, I don't know, mouse down button, which means that the lamp is only going to be turned on as long as I'm holding the button. If I remove it, the light is going to turn off. So you can more or less play endlessly here, and you can apply the same procedure to more or less all the devices that are in your visualization. So this would be the automatic way of creating the visualization, but there's also another option. I'm just going to create another blank page for us. Let's say floor plan. And again, by default, if I drag and drop my device in, it's going to be a massive button on the screen. But if I select my background, and if I change the positioning from automatic to free, this is now going to unlock the background for us. And now if I drag and drop my device in, it's not going to be a massive button on the screen. It's going to be a smaller button, and I can place it, scale it anywhere I want. I can select it and I can move it here. I can scale it up if I want, place it basically anywhere I want in the visualization. So I can put it here, kitchen maybe here, outside here, bedroom, and let's say bathroom in. I can move them, I can scale it anywhere. And if you look at this looks, why would someone do this? But now if I, let's say, select my background, and if I go to my layout background, I can actually import or use a background image, and I can place these devices exactly where they are in the building. So if I go to layout, I think we have it's under backgrounds, or maybe we have under layouts here. This is just a demo building that we have prepared. And now you can see, now I can place these devices exactly where they are. Kitchen can be this way, living room can be like this, outside lamp we can place here, bedroom, bathroom. We can add shades in. Let's say shades for living room, shades for kitchen. Can make a copy and put it here, and add these devices in. And the same principle applies when it comes to customization. So I can select each individual button, change the style, change the icon. Go to the icon that we added earlier, remove the text. We can make it completely like a circle if needed. Change the back color, for instance. This is going to be a little bit more profound. I can see it. And if I go back to my client, floor plan is added, and now I can use this floor plan to have a kind of a overview of the building and control the devices exactly where they are. Kitchen room wall, living room shade, put this up, turn outside lamp, and bedroom light. And this is a very, very popular way for our clients to control the devices. because a lot of clients are using, actual photos of the building, and they can then place the devices exactly where they are, and they can have kind of a overview like this, and you can, use zoom in, zoom out, to, if you have a larger project, you can go in and out. If this is on, let's say, on my phone, I can use, two of my fingers to pinch in, pinch out, to kind of zoom in, and you can then, this is a large project, you can move around and, control the devices exactly where they are in the building. Also, one thing to note here is that the visualization is going to automatically scale according to your device. So in this case, I have, my monitor here with full screen, but if I was looking on this page with, let's say, my phone, on my phone, the visualization would look something like this. I can still move in, move out, and you can control the devices exactly. Or can you create software links between pages? I think that you mean if you can, go through. You could. I hope I understand you correctly. You can go through other pages with a button on the screen. Now you can select, let's say alarm, and drag and drop this into the visualization, and this will create a panel link. So now if I add it in, this is going to be a panel link to our other page. And now if I go to the client, if I go to living room, and if I click this alarm, it's going to transport me or send me to that specific page. Hopefully this kind of answered your question. But like I said, the visualization is going to automatically scale according to your device. So if I'm looking at this on my, let's say, my tablet, I guess the screen's real estate is kind of like this. Everything is still visible, everything is still there. You just may need to look. If this is on my phone, you may need to, I don't know, scroll a little bit on the bottom menu to get to your specific room. For instance, living room, wall, ceiling. I can scroll to the other side to go to the shades and turn the shades up, for instance. So just one quick tip here to note is that you need to just create one visualization. And one thing also, you don't need to create a separate visualization for, Android, iOS, or Windows. You just create one visualization and it's going to work on all the platforms. But yeah, this will basically conclude the basic introduction to BOS. To give a quick overview, what we looked through today, I showed more or less all the applications that we have. I went through the overview of the building in general. We added our KNX devices in. We created a couple of our tasks. And then at the end, we also created two completely different visualizations that can be used by our clients. If at any point you are, stuck, or you want to know if you want or require, let's say, additional information, you can always, if you go to our website, and if you go here to knowledge base, this is we're working on an updated version. But if you go to our knowledge base here, you can see all the nodes that are in the configuration. They are available here. So you can click on it, let's say users, you click on the users, and there is a short tutorial video that you can watch, which explains how users work. There are screenshots, there are additional informations. If you want to know a little bit more how, let's say, KNX, again, how KNX importation works, you select KNX. Again, there are tutorial videos, how to start, how to import, screenshots, additional information, and how to integrate basically. And we also, if you go to YouTube and if you type in ComfortClick, we also quite frequently post step-by-step instructional videos. So if I scroll down, you can see we have a ton of video instructions that are that can be used in BOS. So how to integrate cameras, how to integrate Google Assistants, KNX Smart House, KNX configuration. So a ton of videos are available here that you can check and see if you can have any use of them. For DALI integration, currently we support KNX DALI. So if you have DALI on KNX, you can then import into BOS and use it for any emergency gateways. There isn't a direct DALI integration for now, but you can use a KNX DALI gateway to control the devices. The areas, yeah, I didn't brush on the areas because not a lot of people are actually using it, but areas are more or less reserved for, let's say, hotels. All it does, it just kind of structurizes it a little bit better. What it does, it creates a simplified building, for instance. So the devices are here, tasks are here, and the teams are here. In most cases, it's just a lot of people are using it to, I don't know how to say this. This is for a larger projects where if you only have, let's say, devices, and then you have 50 KNXs and 20 Z waves and whatever, and they're on a different floor and a different building even. That's why you would maybe then create an area and then have only the devices in that specific area or floor, for instance, here. It's just, it may be useful for hotel projects where you have a ton of nodes, and it may be a little bit harder for you to find it if you're just using the building. Like I said, if you have 20 KNXs, you can label them so you know where they are. But you could use an area to just have that in a specific field there. Will it deal with a 6-byte object and split it into useful information? Yeah. So if I go to KNX here, I think there is a let's see, a bit 6-byte. I'll have to check, to be honest. 4-byte we have. 8-byte. Yeah, I think that you could use it here directly. But if you want, Christopher, if you want a little bit more direct information, or if you have an example in mind, I would suggest to get a more accurate answer, I would suggest opening a free ticket on our website. So to do this, you just log it into your account, support tickets, and create a ticket here. Type in the question, maybe provide a screenshot with your question, and you will get much more accurate answer that maybe I can give you off the top of my head, to be honest. So just type in the question here, maybe, like I said, submit an example or an image, and usually we respond within the same day or the next day, so you should be a answer fairly soon. I would say, although some of the support is available, I would say 99% of the support is completely for free. So questions like these are completely for free. More or less, all the billable support is more or less just reserved for some third-party integrations. Let's say if you have some device that you might have and have no idea how to include it, you will then use let's say billable support. Zigbee and Matter are well on our developing plan. So Zigbee, I would say, is already done. You just need to be implemented with some of our features. Matter is fairly new, but we are working on it on the integration. So just 1 second. Yeah, Zigbee, we have been working for quite a while now, and second. We haven't. It's not here under the list of the devices, but it has been implemented and working here in the office in the testing area. It's been more or less done, so it should be available with our. There's no ETA, to be honest, but it is planned to be added fairly soon. Matter is fairly new, so it might take a little bit while, but it is planned. All of these two protocols are planned to be added in. One thing also to add at the end, if you also go to our support and then forum, There is a public forum that is available for all of our clients. All of it's quite an active forum, so a lot of people are posting questions, posting suggestions, bug reports, whatever. So a ton of we have a 1,000 topics or discussions that are here. So if you have a specific question, someone else might already have an answer for you that was answered, I don't know, maybe years back. So public forum is also a great way to get some more info or some questions. And there's also a new or updated knowledge base here as well. So all the nodes that I mentioned earlier today, all the nodes are here with examples, additional information, screenshots, and so on. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them in. If not, I would like to thank you all for joining me in today's tutorial or introduction or training. I hope that you have a better understanding, a nice little kickstart with working with us. Hope that you have now much better knowledge how everything is structured, and it's going to be a little bit easier for you to get started. Yeah, Daryl, no problem. Like I said, thank you all for joining me. This is then, I guess, going to be it. And yeah, thanks again. Like I said, if you have questions, contact us via email or ticket. And have a great rest of your day. Take care.